Hey, you guys, good morning. Toya with the T here. It's very early in the morning, but listen, I got to put this out there. I don't know who this is for, but I should have put this out there some time ago because God been telling me to put this out there for a while. And I've been seeing a lot of different people um, testimonies. So I guess I better tell my own. Well, at any rate, for those of y'all who don't know, I don't know. I think something weird happened like 2017, 2018. Around this time. Um, hey, just living life, doing my own thing, right? I'm not going to say I was exactly a good person, doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't have been doing, right? Um, I challenged the thought of the Bible and who I thought God really was. And, all of the stories in it, they were just, stories like Cinderella and things like that. But at any rate, at that point in time in life, I guess I agree with the current state of insanity that's going on right now. You know what I mean? With wanting a man for only money, not wanting to be submissive, not wanting to, be obedient, go to church, get saved, go to God, all that stuff there. I didn't want to do all that. You can say I was a worldly person. And in that worldliness, right, I experienced a bout of suicidalness. All right. Well, at any rate, fast forward, like I said, 2017, 2018, it came a time where I myself had internal bleeding. I went to several hospitals up and down the East Coast, and no one helped me. Right now, keep in mind, before I even found out what was going on, I was at work and I had to stop working because I got sick. And once I stopped working, I didn't have insurance. So since I didn't have insurance, when I got to the hospitals, they couldn't treat me. Well, that's neither here nor there. Around this time, I would get little subtle signs and hints. Now, keep in mind, y'all, I always knew that God was real. I had even seen certain instances where I know He was like doing something in my life. He saved me. I'm gonna say it like that, not doing something, but He saved me multiple times. I know it was Him, right? But I guess I still wasn't ready to surrender. Well, at any rate, around this time, I'm getting like subtle signs that I need to be doing something. And one of the most memorable things I remember was I'm not an early morning person. And one time, God woke me up like 6 o'clock in the morning to watch this movie named War. And this movie was about, the lady praying for her husband and making sure she's there to support him and things of this nature. All right. So I woke up, I watched the movie, and like I said, inside, I didn't know that was God at the time, but I knew that I needed to be up watching that movie. I was in a relationship for a very long time. And boy, did that man get on my nerves, but neither here nor there. I was in a very relationship for a long time. And that was the message that I got, praying for my husband, right? Well, at any rate, even though I was praying for my husband, I wasn't trying to be bothered with him because he had got on my nerves so bad. I didn't want to be bothered. Um, but I remember that I was in a lot of turmoil. I do remember at this point in time, I was focusing on trying to be faithful. And it was like the more faithful I was to this man, the worse he got. Right. And it was like I automatically knew that he was my karma for all the bad things that I had done for like everyone else, right? And excuse me, y'all, it's early in the morning. Um, so at any rate, like I said, I'm getting these subtle signs and hints, like you know what I'm saying. I need to be paying more attention to God, right? So one day I'm at the house, I'm having a conversation with him, and we were talking about, the relationship. And I think in a way, I was trying to apologize for being such a monster. But before I can get it out my mouth, he had already called me a monster, and I broke out crying. Well, at any rate, after I broke out crying, of course, with my bipolar self, I think I even put him out that night, right? But I remember as he was walking out the door, it was like, God had flashed a beautiful life in front of my eyes that I had never seen before. And along with that flash, it was like a vision of feeling like just a multitude of different things that I had never experienced before. And I remember this is the first time that I ever dropped to my knees, right? And then dropping to my knees as I'm having this feeling and this vision, you know what I'm saying, of like this happiness and stuff like that, I drop to my knees and I say, Lord, I surrender. Right now, little did I know that was going to lead me through a rabbit hole full of like, I don't know, just spookiness. What can I say? I don't want to call it spooky. It was spooky then, but now I know that it is divine now, right? It was only spooky because I didn't understand it. But now that I understand that it's divine, um, this is where we go down the rabbit hole. So in that time, like I said, I got sick, actually had internal bleeding, went to the hospital. The hospitals would not help me. And I remember asking God, like, hey, listen, we all gotta die someday. Right. I don't have any kids. I don't have no husband. I don't have nobody that's going to be crying over me, grieving over me, going through all this like I did over my father. Like, yo, Lord, listen, if there's a gooder time than any for me to go, like this would be like the ideal time. Right. And if, like at that point in time, I was just sick of people. Right. But I remember saying, but God, if there's something that you want me to do, then I remember staying. I'll stay. And I remember it was like I had this feeling. It was like, okay, boom, that's all I needed. I just needed that right there, right? So as I'm having this emotion, I'm like, in my spirit, like, Lord, wait, where you going? And again, it was like, I was granted life. Okay. And this is something I felt in my spirit, didn't understand it. So as I did this, keep in mind, I had internal bleeding literally at night when I would go to bed. I felt like I was not going to make it in the morning. Right. And I remember I felt like I had to get to a church, but churches were not open this time of night. And then anytime I did try to go to a church, none were open. So I wound up watching TBN. But at any rate, I needed to be healed. And because man wouldn't heal me because I didn't have insurance. When I went to God and he said, hey, you're going to stay if I need you to stay? Okay, fine. He then took me down a rabbit hole to healing. Okay. And at this time, this is when I wrote my first book and put it on Amazon because literally 40 days, 40 nights, I could not drink or eat anything. Okay. I went to the hospital several times. And if y'all want to know more about that, then I will make videos about it. But I'm just giving y'all a rough summary. Like I said, went to several hospitals. They didn't do anything. So now I'm asking God, what you want me to do? How do I get healed? One of the books he took me to was the Daniel Fast. Now, keep in mind, this all probably started around in January. Okay, let me give you some background story on how I did get sick, right? So, boom, I'm going to work one day. Right. I stuck my arm in a car window that I should not have. I was a lot smaller than I am now. And I got stuck. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. And this old mechanic dude just was walking across this busy intersection down from where I live and wound up helping me out the car. I thought he went in the store. This might have been an angel. I thought he went in the store. After he helped me get out the car, there was nobody in there. I asked the guy, hey, where did the guy go? He said, nobody come in here. And again, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, as I think about it now, that could have been Jesus. But I don't think Jesus was white. But this dude was definitely white, scraggly hair. He had that little Jesus look. But whatever he got to do and whoever he got to use is fine with me. And when I stuck my arm in that door, because it was so tight and I got stuck, I had a blood clot and the blood clot traveled. So when the blood clot traveled to my esophagus, it bursted. Therefore, I had internal bleeding. And just crazy. So, like I said, went to the hospitals. They didn't help, and God took me to the Daniel fast. And as I did the Daniel fast, that's where the healing came. But along in that extreme fast, I saw a lot of different things at that time. I think we call it hallucination, right? In the worldly realm, but I think it was actually the spiritual realm when you fast, right? So I saw a lot of weird things at that time, a lot of different, I guess you could say, entities, felt a lot of different entities, just seen a lot of weird things that I'm not exactly sure I want to say out loud right now for fear of things that may happen. But a lot of experiences that has led me to believe that, God is real. Well, at any rate, at the time, like I said, still wasn't believing. Seeing these weird things, had to keep my composure, right? But at the same time, I was willing to be obedient, do the Daniel fast, and went through it. Okay. Now, like I said, I have paperwork that says I went to the hospital and they diagnosed me with internal bleeding, and they sent me home. You know, and like I said, was sending me home because I know that I had kind of made this deal with God that I was going to stick around because He still had things for me to do. I know that I had to get healthy, and basically, I went home. I did the Daniel fast. I dibbled and dabbled in the other couple of things. Right, God really, broke it down who He was, and the tools that He has left behind for us or me, His children, to follow to help them navigate through this world. I think I put up a lot of resistance in the beginning, but I think sincerely at that point, I knew that the body and the life that I was living at that time was no longer my own. You know what I mean? Like literally, I had died, and the person who was left here was the spirit that God had breath. He breathed, you know, blew on me again, right? Like a washing or a renewing. So there was a lot of different, what can I say? Talents he helped me to learn that I have, right? Like with cooking, just basically understanding my role, man. God was on my butt about everything. He was on me. He was on me like I be on people because I'm on people. I'm on your butt. What? And um it was just a real challenge to actually surrender to God Himself because man can't do nothing with me. But to surrender to God Himself and for me to allow myself to say, hey, I'm going to be willing to be this woman of God. And this woman of God submits to her husband, right? And God took me through a lot of things. God had a lot of hard conversations with me one-on-one that some humans probably don't even have the heart to bring, right? Just because of who I am. And y'all don't know me, but I can be something else. But it was really, an honor for me to become so spiritually and divinely in tune with the Most High to allow Him to teach me, right, the woman He wanted me to be. So there was a lot of TBN, there was a lot of Bible reading, there was a lot of like getting other books and putting other books together to help it make sense. Because keep in mind, I was a really person. I went to school, I learned education, I learned, what America has taught me. So in order to relearn it, I had to gather other tools to help me relearn it. So there was a lot of different books and just documented and research because it had to make sense to me. Right. And I remember one day, like it was just so much on my head. And it was like, God was like, it's not meant for you to figure out. It's here for you to use as a tool, as a confirmation on who I am. But it's like, you're going to bleed through your eyes trying to figure and like consume all this information, right? Another reason why it's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. You put all the books together. It still ain't going to give you the full total explanation on who I am as your God. You understand what I'm saying? So, like I said, God was just really gangster with me, and these were not thoughts of my own. So, I don't think that, anyone could ever tell me that there is no God. Well, at any rate, hearing that faked sound helped me recognize a lot of things I was not. And in exchange for some of the things that I was getting, it helped me realize that the things I were getting, like the job that came from God, I was still using it for the devil, right? My dancing, my singing, even my ways and how I dealt with men, right? Like I'm one of them women that I was going to one up you. I'm going to be honest about what I do. I'm going to be good to you, but I'm going to one up you. Like, I'm not going to get cheated on, period, because I'm always going to cheat. You know what I mean? And you're going to know that. You're going to know that. But at the same time, I was so loving and so sweet and so this and so that, but I just wasn't going to be faithful. And I was going to be honest about that. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that being honest about that was enough, but it wasn't because it wasn't right. And again, that was something that, God showed me in that time of me getting sick. So, again, as I'm working on this healing and I'm allowing God to break me down all the way, because ain't no man that walked this earth that can do that with me. But, when I allow God to break me down, because I wanted to be the kind of woman that he wanted to be, even above being a woman I thought I wanted to be. I wanted to be the kind of woman he wanted me to be. And in that, I found healing, right? And in that, I found that his powers were true. And in that, I found that other powers were true. And in that, I found out that a lot of these truths are in this Bible, right? And I know I've read the Bible several times before, and it did not move the way it moved this last time after I surrendered. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like it was a calling that he put out. You know what I'm saying? And in 2024, so many people are awake, or they call themselves woke now. I think like he put a calling out, around that time, 2017, 2018, he put a calling out. And he called his people. You know what I'm saying? He like, wake up. It was finna go down. Like, I done left you books and books and books. You know what I mean? Books that you're not supposed to know about, letting you know how I get down, letting you know that I will huff and puff and blow all of it down, right? And if you don't want to get blown away, then you need to be listening, like the Moseses, like the Abrahams, like the Noahs. I believe those stories. I believe it, right? I believe them then, but I believe them differently now, only because I know what God did for me. So now, again, as I'm going through this, I still don't understand it, but I am being obedient. I'm doing a Daniel fast. I'm basically doing whatever God told me to do, right? There was no work in. I think I did service for about 2 years. I took care of babies. I fed the homeless, right? I needed to be humbled again. Like, I was so arrogant and so, like, I was just a mess. Just a mess when I think about it. Like, just so entitled, right, to everything, to whatever I saw. And even if my actions were not right, I was rationalizing. I mean, I don't know. I guess you probably could call me a narcissist. I mean, I don't say so. I don't think I was a narcissist because I admitted my wrong. But the fact of the matter was I was going to be a G and I was going to be wrong. And that's what I wanted to do. I was entitled to do that because of the things that I had experienced, been through, and overcome. And that was not the right way of thinking. So, as I continue to focus on my healing, and it probably took, like I say, from probably January to May. I watched God open up doors, make connections, and teach me a lot of things about myself that I did not know, that I probably would not have ever experienced, because I noticed that I was not operating under God's law. I was operating under America's law. I was operating under the world's law, right? Like, I was operating out of the knowledge on what the world told me I should be and what the world had done to me and made me be. I wasn't focusing on being who God wanted me to be, right? And even if I knew the stories of Moses and Noah and the power that they had, and Abraham and Solomon was my favorite. I think, I was like Solomon. When I heard that story, like, that was what I wanted, right? I remember hearing the story of Solomon, and when God went around and asked people what they want, right? And he said wisdom. I think I heard that story. Like, yeah, I want wisdom too, because if I can get wisdom, I can get to everything else. And, I just didn't acknowledge the power. I'm not going to say I didn't acknowledge the power. I'm going to look at it now, looking back, as because of the power that I was equipped with, And because I was not surrendered to God, it was like the enemy had me blinded and couldn't see. Like it just didn't click, right? Like serving God and surrendering to God doesn't necessarily mean like you don't have to be yourself and you're not going to have fun and you're not going to even do bad things, because all of the people in the Bible did bad things. But when you surrender to Him, the power that He gives you when He tell you to do something, despite of, you know what I'm saying? It's like the same thing with your children that you have, right? And it was like, when I thought about it, I have forfeited a lot of years being deceived by the enemy because I had a wrong way of thinking, because I was running, because I was hurt and I was so busy trying to disprove there wasn't no God, because I had been through this and I had been through that and I was so wrong. And I only had one parent. I stayed with my dad, why not with my mom, and all these things here. So I'm so busy trying to disprove who He is, not wanting to believe who He is, and sure didn't want to face Him because I'm not doing anything that God want me to do or like. So according to them, I heard them say, "Come as you are," but according to them, I'm not welcome because of the way I dress, the way I act, the way I do all this, and I'm trying to buck the system anyway. Because if there was a God, then He wouldn't let this happen, and He wouldn't let that happen, and He wouldn't let this happen. I needed to be blinded. Do not need that power with that mentality. So I'm just kind of putting this video out here today because I just need y'all to know that, if you're going through something in life, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't want to hear it. And sometimes, because of the things we go through, and it be the hands of parents and family and loved ones and whatever, we got the tendency to get mad with God, but don't get mad with God. Take it out on pepper. Don't take it out on pepper. No, don't take it out on that person. Don't get mad with God. Get mad with the person. Don't take it out on the person. Don't get mad with God. Get mad with the person. And then if you're going to be mad, just only be mad for one night. Don't let it ruin your whole life. Okay. Let the person accountable be the one you get mad at. Don't get mad at God. Thank God because you made it through. And if you get the mentality to where once you get that first hurt, you know how to bob and weave to not get hurt again. You don't have to be walking around with a mound of hurt. And you can position yourself to be in a better position in life, because at the end of the day, the more you run away from God, the no good you're going to get. There's no good you're going to get. The more you want to fight Him, disprove Him, say who He not, what He gonna do, that's just like your parent. Long as you tell your parent what you ain't gonna do, what you ain't did, what you did ain't nothing, because you can't have your way. It's the same way with God. You know what I'm saying? So in that healing journey that I went through, I learned a lot. God showed me a lot. I surrendered to Him to a point to where I allowed Him to break me down and mold me like the clay. I get it now. I'm a little mad that the saved people, when they got saved, they didn't tell me that weird things happen when you get saved. But it's okay, because I'm going to tell everybody, hey, weird things happen when you get saved, when you surrender to God. But no, I'm just saying, if you're going through something in life, if you are at a crossroads where you're tired, right? I don't know, you might be suicidal. I know I was for a bunch of years. Right? You might just be going through stuff and you just don't want to do it no more. And you just don't want to do it no more. You can't keep carrying a burden. Maybe you just don't know what to do. Maybe it's just too much. Maybe you're doing wrong and you can't. Stop doing what you're doing because it's culture to you. That's how you was raised. That's how we live. But we all know what love is. And a lot of us know that when we be out here walking around playing, we're not operating out of love. We're operating out of hurt. And hurt people hurt people. I think I can say after it all, God has given me a tremendous amount of peace when it comes to dealing with things when they don't go my way. Like, that forgive them for they know not what they do, right? Like, you can't even get mad at them because they don't know what they do. It's like babies. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I have a tremendous amount of peace, if nothing else, after this whole ordeal. But I think the major part is that I know the power I have, and that's why I got peace. And I'm taking that power and run with it. I don't know about y'all, but you talk about a slingshot and rock God, a split a seed, build a boat God, speak something into existence and the whole world exists God in 6 days. I'm taking my power to the other level, honey, and ain't nobody playing with y'all. So I'm just saying. So for those of y'all that's out there, you still cutting up. God has said enough is enough. Now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, okay? But I'm just going to put this disclaimer out there now. Now, somewhere in 2017, 2018, whenever this started happening, if you go on my Facebook page, you're going to see the rare form of me. I mean, rare. God took my hair, he took my weave, he took my nails, he took whatever. And whatever he said do, I went out there and said do. And honey, I looked back at some of those videos and, ooh, Jesus, crazy I was. I'm still crazy, but a different kind of crazy. But that was the rare form on what God was taking me through. And I need to really go back and kind of watch some of them videos. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, yo, if we're out here manipulating people, using people, hurting people, we're out here making babies and we're not married. That go for the men and the women too. If you're laying down, you're getting pregnant and you're not marrying that man, you're in trouble. If you're laying down making babies and you're not taking care of her, you're in trouble. If you're walking around using people and manipulating people, you're in trouble. If you're not doing what God said do, you're finna be in trouble. The same way he told me then, I went right on Facebook and said that out loud to the entire universe. Whoever caught it, whoever didn't. P. Diddy is going down because I know if he told me and I'm broke, I know he told them too. I know he told them, folks, yo folks that did wrong, slavery folks, y'all better get to making it right, reparations. Don't make it right and watch what happened. You know how I know he told them to do it? Because he told me to do it. And I had to go back and retrace my steps. And I had to tell a lot of people that I was wrong back then. I had to tell a lot of people that I was deceived back then. I had to apologize to a lot of people and let them know that I was severely possessed and did not know it. And I'm still me. But those things was not of the Lord, honey. And I'm moving forward in a better direction, honey. So this is just a little warning. If you find yourself at the crossroads because you've played with him too long, listen for the faint sound of his voice, because I promise you he's calling you. And just before you get to that crossroad, this is where that every knee shall bow part comes in at. Just before you get to that crossroad, I hope you call out to him and you say that I'm sorry. Forgive me for I know not what I do. And if there's anything that you want me to do to have a chance to make it right before I leave here in flesh, let me know. Because I think the last thing that any of us want to do is want to leave here knowing that we never got a chance to exist and experience goodness before we die. Just experience pure hell from whatever you went through with your parents. If they made you have hell and then you grew up and then you kept the hell up, and then at the end of the day, you leave here 60 years and you've never experienced true goodness and love. Thank you, Lord, for delivering me is all I got to say, honey. I got a lot of love to give and a lot of love to get, y'all. Toya the T in the building, honey. I'm going to be back with more clips on God and what he's done for me. So make sure you stay tuned. Hopefully y'all liked it. Hit like, share, subscribe, and I got more coming. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a good night, and make sure y'all keep God in the forefront. Pray to him. Ask him for help. Even if you're mad with him, that's still a conversation. And don't get mad when he yelled back. I'm just saying. I love y'all bunches. Make sure y'all leave your comments in there. Like, share, subscribe. And make sure y'all join me so we can grow our channel together. This is just another piece of content to add to the rest of the content, except for this one is about God. Okay? See you guys later. Love you bunches. Bye.